Happy Sunday. This is Jensen with Soft Edges, and this is your week ahead reading for the week of June 29th till July 5th, 2026. I have recorded this so many times, but I think this is this is the final take, and this is how we're going to start. There is so much happening in the sky this week. I keep trying to fit it all in, and I think before I dive in, we're gonna do a grounding exercise. So humor me, take care of yourself. Just take a moment to close your eyes. If you're listening to this on the go, here's an invitation to pause for just a moment, to sit down on a chair, the floor, your bed, a bench, the ground. And really feel your breath. For a moment, you're not changing it, you're just letting it be. Noticing where it's catching, and can it move past that? So just for this really brief exercise, I'm inviting you to bring air through your nose. So we're inhaling, and imagine the breath running down the length of your spine, touching the back of your neck, and then down, mid back, low back, until it gets to your tail. And either imagine it connecting again just to your tail, or maybe you go deeper and you go to the center of the earth. And then on your exhale, imagine it coming all the way back up, the exact way it came, until you sigh it out your mouth. Maybe just one more time. In the nose, down the spine. Connect. And exhale. When you're ready, you can open your eyes again. Thank you for joining me in that. The reason why we're starting like this is because we closed out last week with Mars in Taurus still. We closed out last week. This is our final week with Jupiter in Cancer. And it's this week where everything shifts. I'm recording this on the 28th on Sunday, and today Mars moved in Gemini, and life is picking up. It's moving fast. Not only that, but in a couple of days, the 29th or the 30th, depending on your time zone, Jupiter is moving into Leo. Jupiter is wonderful in so many ways. It expands and is jovial and likes to be generous and abundant. But what does it mean when our ego expands, And that's something that could happen with Jupiter moving into Leo. My hope is that Jupiter in Leo brings us back to a couple things. One is our sovereignty. We are the rulers of our own lives, and that'll come up in the cards, and we'll pull them out in just a moment. But we are the rulers of our lives. And if that's not the case, who is ruling your life and why? Not only that, but Leo is childlike and playful and clowns around. And how can we bring that childlike joy or things that we loved as kids back into our lives in order for us to connect or reconnect with our most authentic self? Another Leo characteristic. This coming back, the reimagining, the reinvigoration, perhaps the rediscovering of what lights us up is really going to come to the forefront on Monday, the 29th, when Mercury stations retrograde in Cancer. And how I'm imagining this is, so Cancer is the heart, cancer is nurturing, it is our families, it's how we care for ourselves and others. And in retrograde, Mercury is our thinking, our communication. So talking about our feelings, I see this manifesting in a couple different ways, but one of the ways I'm hoping it manifests, which could be crunchy, that's the reality of a Mercury retrograde, is us, if we're finding ourselves like revisiting like old familial or ancestral or lineage patterns, we're like, this isn't mine. This isn't my true nature. This isn't what I want to take with me as I become my most sovereign self. So during this Mercury retrograde, here's an invitation to let those things come up, work, like feel through the emotion once and for all. Maybe closing our eyes, doing that breathing meditation, think back to the moment where that belief became yours from someone else, and let it go. I mean, I think these are things we're gonna have to revisit over and over and over again, but I'm hopeful that the alignments of this week allow us to really move through this in a way that is really constructive. I think it's time, because not only do we have Mars moving into Gemini, Jupiter moving to Leo, Mars and Uranus are coming together on July 4th. And this is breakthrough energy. This is disruptive. This is unexpected. So expect the unexpected. And in order for us to be able to do that, we're going to have to be the most grounded versions of ourselves, and we're going to have to know where we stand in a variety of things and ways and interactions. So yeah, lots going on this week. It kind of came up in the cards too. I'm really excited to get into the overall energy. We had the Empress come up for our energy of the week, and it's a beautiful Empress, and I'll get to talk about that a little bit more. But thanks so much for being here. I am excited for all of us and the breakthroughs that are available to us. Might this be a chaotic time? Maybe, but how can we roll with the punches and expect the unexpected? Most importantly, where are you focusing your energy? That's going to come up in the cards, and I'm inviting you to reflect where is your focus? Do you know? We have a full moon happening tomorrow on the 29th of June, and it's in it's in Capricorn, opposing the sun in Cancer. So something's completing. What are you willing to let go so that you can another word for retrograde, Mercury retrograde? How can we re-envision what we imagine our lives to look and feel like on the day-to-day, despite all of the other things going around? So let's get into the reading, and thanks again so much for joining me again for another weekly reading. So here we are. We have the Empress as our overall energy of the week with Fox Spirit, think on your feet. Talk more about that in a little bit. And then we have the Page of Swords, the Knight of Swords in the reverse, and the Empress. So double Empress this week. I love that for us. And I did pull a couple clarifying things, which I will pull out. So this Five of Cups is to clarify the Page of Swords. And then I have the Four of Wands and the Seven of Pentacles to clarify this second Empress. I'll just put that there. But just so we know what we're looking at. Okay, so there are so many things I love about this as the energy of our week this week. I mean, it's hard not to notice. What comes up immediately for me is all of her full breaths. And it makes me think of classic symbolism for the Empress, which is the ultimate mother. Creative and sensual. We have the bull representing Taurus and Venus. She gives life to all. And this particular Empress is really, really beautiful. And there's some symbolism I actually want to read about. For instance, we have the bees, which are the alchemists that turn pollen into honey. It's life-sustaining and tends to the body, and it's just so beautiful to hold that symbolism. Also, in the guidebook, it talks about this like broken egg. I don't know if you can see it. Incarnated, life has now punctured and shattered into symbolic vessel, escaping its tight parameters to experience existence manifold beauties. And what this makes me think of is the ways that we have to break out of the cycles that we might find ourselves stuck in order to truly experience life. And I'm curious if part of the Jupiter of it all, because we have like this sovereign feminine, the Jupiter and Leo, but also the Mars and Uranus interaction. I can't help but wonder if, we experience things that break us open and remind us who is in charge of our lives. So in the beginning of the week, we have the Page of Swords. And I was curious, like, why does this Page of Swords seem so defensive? Why are they so willing to jump up and say, like, this isn't what I wanted, and this is the right way to do things? And I was like, wait, what is this energy? And then we get the Five of Cups in reverse. And what this says to me is, out of disappointment, out of lack mentality, because it's cups, it's in our emotional world, like lack of connection, maybe we experience what feels like lack of love. Here comes this keyboard warrior, like just this person who maybe is either you or someone else coming forward and just really laying it on thick in terms of the defense. Like, look at this, so defensive. But out of fear, look at their eyes. Out of, maybe, again, because it's the cups in reverse, maybe you have inherited like this emotional burden from someone in your family. And I'm saying that because Monday in the beginning of the week is when we have the Mercury retrograde in Cancer. And maybe someone in your family has hurt you. Gus agrees. So maybe in the beginning of the week, we're paying attention to like where we might feel defensive, we might feel like we've lost something, lost love in some way, lost in experience, like not necessarily loss of relationship, but loss of perhaps trust in someone, yourself, the process, and then really having a lot to say about it. Midweek, we have the Knight of Swords in the reverse. And something I can't help but notice is look at the way that, his horse is moving this way towards, the Empress, abundance, but instead is focusing backwards on where this character has been feeling emotionally defeated. So I was reminded right before I was recording this video about the law of attraction and, using the law of attraction to call in that which you want instead of focusing what you don't want. And there's an invitation here big time this week that's like, by focusing on what you don't have, it will amplify that, because that's where your focus and energy is going. But if you're willing to surrender to, again, this next step into your most sovereign self, you're able to move forward into the gifts of the Empress, the gifts of creativity and sensuality and expression. This like really feminine expression that doesn't yell, but everything gets done, doesn't demand, or is like, doesn't use power to like push, I think not only that, this energy of, moving, wanting or intending to move one way, but kind of focusing on another distraction or experience, brings in the fox spirit of thinking on your feet. Because I think that there is a division that happens when you are split. Your heart is heading in one direction. Like I'm really noticing the heart of the horse facing one way, but this person again is attention's this way. And so when things are split, your attention is split, people, situations slip through the cracks. And we're invited this week to call in fox spirit, to imagine us as the fox, or fox helping us to be really quick and witty. Because again, the distraction can have us being like, wait, like what's real and what's not? I have to move forward on this, but I'm not really sure what. It's making me think too, with all the cat noises right now, of the thinking quick on your feet is like something, you're unexpectedly having to jump from a tree. And what does this mean? You're unexpectedly having to, like, something unexpected happens to you and you're falling. And the solution is to like turn yourself right around to land on your feet and be like, whew, because you will land and it will be successful. But like being able to say, whew, all right, I got to move forward and fast, because things are going to be moving really, really fast this week. There is no doubt about that. Finally, we have the Empress again, which is so, so, so lovely. And I couldn't help but notice her pointing upwards. And I was like, what are you pointing at? And if you're in the US, you know that this Saturday is the 4th of July, which is so interesting because I saw these cards as representing fireworks. Like the 4 of Wands is a celebratory card. It's like with people you love. And then this just reminded me of fireworks. But with the 7 of Pentacles, how interesting. And it makes me think of, in conjunction with the Empress, like when you're expecting the fireworks, right? Like you've gathered your people and you're all set up and the cat's having a party. You're all set up and you're waiting, and then you're like, what's happening? Like, are they coming? I thought they would have started by now. Not only that, but fireworks are going off, and then right before the grand finale, there's a big pause, and everyone's like, what is happening? That's like the 7 of Pentacles energy, is like something expected's happening perhaps this weekend, and then there's a pause, and then something unexpected happens. With the Empress, there is this invitation to remember, like, she's super grounded. She's reminding us to stay grounded when the unexpected inevitably comes up. During the energy transmission before I came onto this, I saw a bamboo forest. And what bamboo reminds us of is flexibility. Bamboo is hollow and can grow really tall and fast. And the taller it grows, the more it can bend, the more flexible it is. So there's a Chinese proverb about this. The more you grow, the more flexible you become like bamboo. So there's another invitation here to be flexible this week, to let things move through you, especially because I get a sense that there will be like an emotional stirring in the beginning of the week that just might come up, It might not be done by the beginning of the week, and it might be part of the distraction midweek. And there's something here with like the red, white, and blue. Excuse me, that was interesting. Could be a collective energy. We'll keep our eyes out for that. But something about the red, yellow, and blue makes me think of get back to basics. If things feel like they are popping off, get back to basics. What tools do you have in order for you to do that? Remember your power. And again, with double Empress, we have this, I'm being called to say it again, like this power that is, it's inner. It's like the sovereign feminine has been coming up a lot over the last couple of days. And what that means is feeling really embodied in your power. Like that you're not letting your thoughts run away from you. You're bringing things back. You're reining things in. Maybe that's just in your life. Maybe that's the people around you. And that might be a role that you find yourself in this weekend, especially again, as things are quote unquote popping off. Yeah, stay flexible. There's something here too about this image that's coming through of, there's a laying low, which might feel really hard because the pace of life, the pace of this week too, is really, really quick. There's a lot changing. There's a lot happening. I imagine in the collective and also in your personal lives, there is an invitation for how can you like pull back and hang out in the bamboo forest and watch as things unfold, like not partake in it. You know, there's like this bamboo is having this dual meaning of both being flexible, letting things go through you. You know, people are dumping their shit on you, or you're feeling really stuck. Just like letting, all right, how can I imagine water? How can I imagine the emotions as water and letting it flow through me? Like my breath, like flow up and down my spine, and then just let it go. Yeah. It'll be a really interesting week. I'm wishing you, us, luck, and I will see you on the other side.